Honourable members, please be seated. Honourable members, we will continue from where we left off, and that is to the last of the oral questions of today. I now call on the Honourable Ali Kimbia to ask question 366 of 2025.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask question 366 of 2025 under my name, and the question is directed to the Minister for Women, Children and Social Protection. Can the Minister update Parliament on what the Ministry is doing to address cases of sexual abuse of children? Vinaka.
I call on the Minister for Women, Children and Social Protection, the Honourable Shashi Kiran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I thank Honourable Bia for raising this very important issue. Before I proceed with answering the question, Mr. Speaker, I wish to acknowledge the work of the Minister for Health and Medical Services team and his team, the HIV/AIDS Task Force and all the frontline workers who are fighting the emerging crisis of HIV and AIDS as we commemorate World AIDS Day today. Increasing cases of HIV transmission from mother to child is a grave concern and another form of violence we are witnessing against unborn children. We know we can eliminate mother-to-child transmission. A few countries have done it, and I hope with awareness we can eliminate this in Fiji as well. To answer the question, Mr. Speaker, the prevalence of sexual violence against children in Fiji is deeply alarming. Fiji Police Force data on crime against children for the period 2020 to 2024 indicates that child sexual abuse remains the most pervasive and alarming crime against children in Fiji. A total of 4,159 child sexual offense cases were recorded between 2020 and 2024, making sexual offenses the largest category of crimes against children. Unfortunately, most of these crimes are committed by trusted individuals within their home or community environment. To draw attention to the issue, our ministry convened a dialogue with all stakeholders. We are now embarking on development of National Action Plan on elimination of all forms of violence against children. The National Plan will provide a coordinated roadmap to address gaps, improve service delivery, and give priority to prevention, especially in schools, in homes, communities, and also on the online domain. National Coordinating Committee for Children, the NCCC, was revived in February 2025 and will play a central role in shaping this work. The ministry will work with a wide range of stakeholders, including key government ministries, statutory bodies, law enforcement agencies, faith leaders, CSOs, community leaders, development partners, and child-focused organizations to ensure that National Action Plan is comprehensive, culturally grounded, and is multisectoral to ensure the elimination of violence against children. I would like to thank UNICEF for providing technical support to undertake this work. The ministry is currently undertaking significant child welfare reforms. The cornerstone of our service delivery is case management with interventions tailored to the specific needs of each child victim. Following the establishment of the Department of Children in 2024, we have expanded both our reach and scope in preparation for the operationalization of Child Care and Protection Act. Senior welfare officer positions dedicated specifically to children have now been confirmed to oversee case management and service delivery through our field offices across Fiji. The recently endorsed National Child Safeguarding Policy further strengthens our ability to mainstream protection across different settings. In addition, the ministry continues to create awareness on child sexual violence in our communities. We also provide financial support to NGOs working with children, including victims of child sexual abuse. These organizations deliver specialized services such as care homes, counseling, family assessment, and provide critical processes that address trauma and promote healing. I must thank all the orphanages and care homes run by our faith organizations who look after children in state care. Mr. Speaker, some of our workers are deeply impacted when they have to deal with multiple cases of child sexual abuse during the same week and need constant support in dealing with this trauma. We are closely working with UNICEF to provide support to caregivers, ensuring mechanisms are in place to maintain mental health and address burnout. Mr. Speaker, when there is abuse, someone in the community is watching and knows about it. We urge the parents and guardians to listen and trust their children. Silence perpetuates continued harm, Mr. Speaker, and this has long-term effects on the victims. We continue to encourage community members to speak up and report cases through our toll-free line 1325. Partnerships and collaborations remain central to our work, and the Child Care and Protection Act now provides explicit provisions to promote prevention efforts within communities. In recognition of the sexual violence in digital environment, we are working with the Online Safety Commission on community awareness. We also request them for removal of images when they are reported. We continue to engage Save the Children Fund to ensure that children themselves are heard and actively contribute to shaping safety measures from their perspective. Mr. Speaker, we remain steadfast in our commitment to strengthening child protection systems and broadening the range of services available. We know there's a lot of work ahead to end violence against our children, and we will continue to work collaboratively with communities, partners, and stakeholders to create a safe environment where every child in Fiji is protected and empowered to thrive. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Minister, the Honourable Kiran. Are there any supplementary questions? There is none. So we move on. I now call on the first written question for today. I call on the Honourable Johnny Usmate to ask his written question.
Thank you, Speaker, sir. My written question number 333 of 2025 is addressed to the Minister for Agriculture. Thank you, sir.
Now call on the Minister for Agriculture, the Honourable Thomas Tunambuna.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, sir. Honourable Speaker, I request your approval if I can answer to the supplementary question that was raised by Leader of Opposition before in the morning. The oral question regarding seawalls for the 3 villages in Tailip.
Are you providing a written answer later,
No.
Honourable Minister?
It's an oral question, and I have the answer to that supplementary question. Well, Speaker, sir, I'd like to table my written answer
Thank
for
you.
the written question.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. We please pass it on to the Deputy Secretary General. Thank you.
Honourable Speaker, can I answer to the oral question that was asked by Honourable Leader of Opposition for the benefit of
morning?
the viewers? Yes, sir.
Yes, I'll allow you to. Yes, please proceed.
Yeah, I wish to place on record that the request for the seawalls for Ngelekuro, Nananu, and Naloto are also included in the master list for the seawalls, upcoming seawalls.
Thank
Thank you
you
very much.
Right. Thank you, Honourable Minister. For the second written question, I now call on the Honourable Inosi Kurindani to ask his written question.
Naka, Mr. Speaker. My question style 334, 2025 is directed to the Minister for Itauki Affairs and Culture, Heritage and Arts.
Thank you. I now call on the Minister for Itauki Affairs and Culture, Heritage and Arts, the Honourable Ephraim Vasu.
The Speaker, sir, pursuant to standing orders, I now submit the written response.
Thank you. Can you please hand it to the Deputy Secretary General? The third written question, I call on the Honourable Vian Pillay to ask his written question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I rise to ask written question 302 of 2025. And the question is to the Honourable Minister for Multi-Ethnic Affairs and Sugar Industry. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. I call on the Minister for Multi-Ethnic Affairs and Sugar Industry, the Honourable Charan Singh.
Honourable Speaker, with the 4 oral questions that I answered today and 1 written question, I think I'm getting very tired. So I'm handing over my report now.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The written questions is at hand. Thank you, honorable members. That is all there is in the written questions, and that means question time is now over. Move on to the next item. Deputy Secretary General.
Consideration of bills.
Honorable members, please take note that we have 4 bills to deal with today. The first and second bills will be for third reading, and the third and fourth bills will be moved under Standing Order 51. We will now proceed to the first bill, and I remind honorable members that pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, 26th of November, 2025, the debate on the bill will be limited to 1 hour. So first I'll call on the Minister for Environment and Climate Change, the Honorable Moses Nvuli-Tabo, to move his motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, 26 November 2025, I move that the Environment Management Amendment Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed.
Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Honorable Rothuswau, second. I now call on the Honorable Minister to speak on his motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. As I had alluded to on Wednesday last week when I moved the bill under Standing Orders 51, that the current Environment Management Act is 20 years old and was done in a time when we don't have the current issues that we face now in terms of the environment. And we need to update the bill so we can address the gaps that are in the current legislation. That's why it was moved under Standing Orders 51. But let me go straight into the salient features of the bill, or the substance of the bill. In Section 2, on the definition, on the approving authority, and the improvement notice, expense activity, and undertaking to cover that any activity that alters land or changes land use, amends development proposal to refer to the development to the department. Just because this clause modernizes the backbone of the Act, it removes the definition of approving authorities and replaces it with the licensing authority. By doing this, we clearly recognize that any ministry or statutory body that issues a license, lease, or development consent becomes a licensing authority bound by the EIA process. Further, it expands the development activity or the undertaking and facility so that the proponents that carry out subdivisions, coastal reclamations, quarries, and gravel extraction activities can no longer argue that they fall outside the EMA. We also introduced the term development site so that even illegal sand mining areas, unauthorized reclamation, mangrove clearing sites are covered by the Act, irrespective of whether an approval was given or not. The revisions also provide for official identification cards and makes it an offense to forge or misuse them, so communities or businesses can trust that only genuine environment officers exercise powers under the law. Mr. Speaker, sir, by deleting the improvement notice concept, we clean out tools that no longer fit the modern enforcement model. Mr. Speaker, sir, these amendments close real loopholes where ministries and developers hide behind the technical definition and centralizes accountability to the department. For Section 7 or Clause 7 to 3 to 4, Mr. Speaker, sir, the adjustment simply brings the council into line with the way government is now structured and how it operates in practice. It ensures that the correct office holders, such as the CEO of the Itauke Trust Board, are explicitly mandated to sit on the council, and it sets a realistic minimum meeting requirement of at least once a year, while still allowing the council to meet more frequently whenever required. In reality, much of the heavy environment work is now driven through cabinet decisions and specialist task force.
Another clause that this amendment proposes is on section 14, that is in clause 6. Mr. Speaker, sir, this clause turns a strategic planning requirement into ongoing obligation. It directs the department not only to prepare but also to implement and monitor an integrated waste and pollution control strategy, which is critical even challenges such as illegal dumping, market waste, blocked drain, and incidents like the Marine Drive paint spill last week in Lautoka or the Sambeto River chemical waste discharge that happened a few months ago. It links waste and pollution control to public health. Mr. Speaker, sir, these changes are necessary for the ministry to move away from the ad hoc responses to a living integrated waste and pollution strategy that can tackle both everyday litter and serious industrial pollutions. On section 15, subsection 2, clause number 7, Mr. Speaker, sir, this clause recognizes that the environment management is shared responsibility across government. It gives clear, concrete duties to environmental units in key sectors such as lands, infrastructure, agriculture, and ports, requiring them to pre-screen projects, support compliance with environmental conditions, keep data, and act as focal points for incidents. No ministry can simply say that that is the work of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change problem, while moving ahead with roads, jetties, and other infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, sir, environmental units will be critical to our coordination efforts. The ministry deals with a range of sensitive development projects, and these units will aid in ensuring the environmental issues are addressed early in the project. Mr. Speaker, sir, on section 20, inspection powers, Mr. Speaker, sir, this clause equips inspectors to deal with the surge of issues that we face today in relation to unauthorized development and illegal activities. It empowers inspectors to enter unauthorized development sites or facilities without valid waste permit. It also allows inspectors to stop truck vessels and aircraft suspected of transporting or discharging waste, and it removes an outdated blanket exclusion of residential premises that used to be a shield for large-scale activities happening in these premises. Mr. Speaker, sir, we just had a case a few months ago where a vessel had carried 800 liters of oil, had sunk, and did not have a valid waste permit. When my inspectors went to the facility to issue a non-compliance notice, they were not permitted. Another case where a residential house had harmful chemicals and gases stored without permit. My officers had to go to confiscate these items around midnight. Written notices will still be issued for seized items, but the bottom line is that our inspectors need to act immediately based on risk rather than arguing over technicalities about the status of the site. The Act also provides a appeal mechanism that is in Section 33, where an appeal can be lodged to the Permanent Secretary, and if the proponent is not satisfied, it can appeal to the Environment Tribunal within 21 days. These are a few clauses or salient features of the bill that is proposed by the bill, and I urge the opposition to support this because it will take care of the current issues that we face in terms of litter, waste discharge, and also the EIA processes, which I've already talked about. And this will streamline the process and also proper monitoring and give tips to the inspectors and officers at the ministry, plus other relevant authorities, to enforce the Act.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Before I open the floor to the members, there was supposed to be, was there not a minor amendment, which I had suggested that you introduce with the bill, Minister? Is that correct? Am I reading?
Yes, sorry for missing that. There is another amendment, additional amendment, and that is on Section 43, on Clause 24, which is a new amendment to the bill.
It's a new amendment, but it's relatively minor. That's why I wanted to make it clear to the honorable members. That's correct.
It's minor, sir.
Yes. Thank you, honorable members. The floor is now open for debate on the motion. I have a list of speakers with me. As we had agreed, the arguments are contained in 1 hour capsule, which means that all the speakers, including the mover of the motion, will be inside that 1 hour capsule. So you have 5 minutes each to the interveners, and I first call on the Honorable Praveen Bala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to contribute to the debate on the amendment to the Environmental Management Act 2015. Mr. Speaker, sir, we all are in agreement because we believe that, as I have said the other day, that we have to move with time. And we have gone through the bill. We have seen that this bill will strengthen the laws. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, there are some areas of concern that we wish to raise, and I hope the minister responsible in his right of reply will respond to some of the concerns that we have. Mr. Speaker, the first one is the Section 16, the composition of the Environmental Management Committee. The current act, as well as the proposed amendment, lack details regarding the composition of the Environmental Management Committee. And in particular, it does not specify how many members will be appointed to the committee or the process of their appointment. In addition, Mr. Speaker, it should be clarified whether the committee is intended to be a one-time assembly for each referral, or if it's going to be a standing committee. Mr. Speaker, Section 20, powers to enter and inspect. The amendment expands the powers of the inspection to include residential properties. This was not in the previous law, but as Minister has stated that they have come across cases, and that's why they've included, so we don't have any issues with that. The other one is, Mr. Speaker, the inspection of the automobile and vehicles. The role of the Land Transport Authority in inspecting automobiles and vehicles within the environmental management framework needs to be clearly defined. It is essential to outline the scope of LTA's involvement, including how this inspection will contribute to environmental compliance and the measures in place to ensure that they align with the LTA rules. Mr. Speaker, Section 43, approvals or license without EI report or AMP reports. The proposed addition of new subsections 1 and 2 states that approvals of license granted without an environmental impact assessment report or an environmental management plan report will be null and void. We want to say here, Mr. Speaker, just to ensure the compliance and prevent unnecessary difficulties for developers, it is crucial that licensing authorities implement comprehensive checklists. And this must be at the initial stage for the authorities not to accept any application when all boxes are not ticked. So there is no runaround. I mean, it's no point going to level 10 and then say, okay, you have missed point 3 and the whole exercise is null and void. So I hope the Minister, right of reply, will respond to that as well. Mr. Speaker, a breakdown of offense and penalties. The proposed bill outlines a breakdown of offense and penalties. But many of the fines, Mr. Speaker said, is a bit high in relation to the level of the offences. Currently, there is a framework that allows for a maximum one-time fine with discretion granted to the courts to assess. It's 750,000 in the existing ones, but now there is a breakdown of 250,000 in the new one. So if that can be looked into that as well. The last one, Mr. Speaker said, since time is running out, the appeal. Here it says that if applicant is not happy, they can appeal to the permanent secretary. But then again, there is a tribunal. Permanent secretary is part of the team. We are saying that there may be a conflict. So we are saying that if that appeal can be done directly to tribunal rather than the permanent secretary. So these are a few concerns that we have, Mr. Speaker said, and I hope the Honourable Minister in his right of reply will respond to that. Thank you, sir.
I thank the Honourable Bala. I now invite the Honourable Manoa Kamida for his contribution.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to speak very briefly on the Environment Management Amendment Bill of 2025. Honourable Speaker, I did a few days ago talk about the Town Planning Amendment Bill, Honourable Speaker, and essentially the amendments today follow in train with the amendments that were adopted in last week's sitting, Honourable Speaker. And perhaps just for the context of everyone here, and also for those listening in, perhaps explain what essentially is happening with these amendments, Honourable Speaker. There are some additional amendments that hopefully will come through towards the end of the week. And essentially, Honourable Speaker, this is perhaps the first major step that the country has taken in quite a number of years to really begin the process of making ease of doing business easier and starting to digitize the national systems of Fiji, Honourable Speaker. We have in the past done sporadic automation. This side of the House, Honourable Speaker, has a national digital strategy, which together with these reforms that were initiated by the previous government will form the basis of changes in the years to come, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, the amendments are to facilitate what is planned to be achieved with the new digital platform. It's called the Building Permit Approval Process System, or BPAS for short, Honourable Speaker. And so, obviously, as we all know, technology can never compensate for legislation. Rather, legislation needs to facilitate technology. And so, in this case, the amendments before us, Honourable Speaker, allow for the exciting times ahead in terms of automation of our processes, business processes, Honourable Speaker. The other important point to make, Honourable Speaker, or points to make, is that the BPAS system, as I'd mentioned earlier, will allow for greater convenience to the public. Prior to this endeavour, when you go and make applications, Honourable Speaker, you have to fill form after form after form after form in every single ministry. The backbone of the system, Honourable Speaker, is called FieldPass, or it's an integrated approval system that allows ministries all to access the same information and share the same information across the ministries. So, for example, Honourable Speaker, in this instance, once a builder fills his details once, he no longer has to do that for any other forms that he fills in the system. The information populates itself. Honourable Speaker, just very quickly, given the time. This reform is actually going to do wonders for the country. And certainly it allows for better management of the environment. We've used this opportunity to create some, sort of some predictable timeframes, Honorable Speaker, in terms of approvals. And of course, what this will mean long-term, Honorable Speaker, that the experience that our people experience when they deal with the government services will be certainly best practice, not only in Fiji, but certainly across the region and around the world. So, Honorable Speaker, I do support the amendments before the House and look forward to the continuation of the digital transformation journey of this country to ensure that we deliver effective and efficient services to the people of Fiji. Thanks, sir.
I thank the Honorable Kamkamida. I next call on the Honorable Alvik Maharaj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity given to me to address this Honorable House regarding the Environment Management Amendment Bill of 2025. The Minister of Environment has eloquently presented the case for an urgent amendment of the Environment Management Act of 2005, which has served Fiji for over 2 decades. We acknowledge the severe pressure on our nation currently faces rapid development, expanding urban growth, climate impacts, complex waste streams, and increasing illegal activities. The recognition that the current legislation is no longer fit for purpose and lacks the adequate tool to deal with illegal development and environmental emergencies is a point the opposition wholeheartedly agrees with. The Minister mentioned that this reform is intended to bring about the long-debated balance between the development and conservation. This is a core principle that must guide our debate, and it is here that opposition has both condemnation and caution. We support the intention to create a comprehensive, modern, and accountable framework that addresses the red tape, slow approval process, and legal ambiguities that have plagued investors and the environment for years. The move to align this bill with the building permit approval system and the digital transformation across government is forward-thinking and essential for modern governance. The mandatory legal timeliness for environmental approval are without doubt transformative, reducing the time frame for screening decision from 10 to 7 working days, for term of reference from 21 to 15 working days, and for the management plan discussion from 30 to 20 working days is necessary measure to support the essential ease of doing business agenda, Honorable Speaker. The question the opposition has is this: how will the government ensure that this increased efficiency which benefit investors does not come at the expense of thorough environmental impact assessment and meaningful community consultation? The centralization of EI decision-making under the Department of Environmental is logical. Creating one process, one standard, and one accountable decision maker will undoubtedly strengthen the consistency and efficiency. Nevertheless, the opposition urges the Minister to outline the plan for capacity building within the Department of Environment. Shorter timeliness will only lead to better service if the department has the skilled manpower and resources to process this application within the required due diligence. Simply shortening the deadlines without addressing the resource constraint could lead to rubber stamping, which would defeat the entire purpose of environmental protection. Mr. Speaker, to ensure that this bill truly assists all Fijians and improves service delivery, the opposition proposes a few areas for the government's consideration. The formalization of management plan system introduces the use of accredited consultants for lower risk activities. While this ensures professionalism, the government must commit to a policy that actively prioritizes and develops local Fijian environmental consultants. We must use this reform to build local capacity, providing training and accreditation pathways so that economic benefit of the new system remain within Fiji rather than exclusively relying on expensive international expertise. Number 2, digital access and transparency. The bill supports the digital transformation. This is a golden opportunity to make environmental governance truly accessible to every Fijian. The new centralized process should not only be digital for the benefit of the bureaucrats, but should also incorporate a full public-facing online portal. This portal should allow citizens to track the real-time status of any EIA or management plan application in their community. Easy public access to non-confidential documents associated with development. A simplified digital mechanism for citizens to submit consent or non-compliance report directly, which should then be backtracked by the reporting citizen. This level of transparency will dramatically improve public trust and serve as an invaluable real-time audit on the department performance, ensuring the new timeliness and are met with integrity. Number 3, proactive enforcement and community empowerment. We commend the introduction of stronger enforcement powers, including immediate prohibition notice, powers to inspect unapproved sites, and significantly higher tiered penalties for illegal development. This is a crucial response to the continuation of illegal development, pollution breaches, and compliance loopholes. However, the best tool against the environment crime is the community itself. The government must commit to public awareness campaigns educating the public on the new higher penalties and the immediate prohibition powers to serve as a stronger deterrent. Honorable Speaker, a whistleblower protection mechanism establishing a formal legally protected process where citizens can report illegal activities without fear of retaliation, ensuring their complaints are acted upon swiftly by the empowered officer. Number 4, waste management focus. The strengthening of waste management by allowing fixed penalties, notices, and prosecution is directly aimed to facilitate operating without valid permits. The opposition insists that the government ensures that the revenue generated from these penalties are directly reinvested into local community level recycling and waste minimization program. This makes the enforcement system cyclical and directly beneficial to the communities most impacted by complex waste stream. This raises serious concern when will the Singatoka rubbish dump be moved as it sits on a heritage site? Mr. Speaker said the opposition recognizes the current law is outdated and the absence of clear mechanism comprises public interest and environmental protection. The minister is correct. Immediate action is the national interest. We support the spirit of the bill to move towards a responsive development ready and future-focused environmental framework. Our support, however, is conditional on the government's commitment to implementing the new framework with transparency, adequately resourcing, and a genuine focus on empowering all Fijian stakeholders, not just streamlining process for the corporate investors. I must raise the concern I have been raising all this while, which is EFL installing around 13 diesel generators, which has huge impact on our environment, and the ministry remains silent. This bill must not simply reduce red tape, to conclude, sir. It must wave a stronger, more protective green tape around our precious natural resources to generate for generations to come, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support the bill. Vinaka.
Thank you. I thank the Honorable Maharaj. I now invite the Honorable Professor Biman Prasad for his contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir. There are 5 important points that I want to make as part of the amendment, and those are very important. But before that, if you look at our National Development Plan, it's crafted in a way where environment is not seen as a sector. It is a cross-cutting pillar across our development agenda. So the first point that I want to make, or the first improvement this amendment makes, is that it improves institutional clarity, accountability. It does with the outdated administrative provisions. It was ambiguous for the business community, for developers. That's been removed as a result of this amendment. The second point that I want to make is that it provides a very clear legal framework for developments and waste pressures. And it recognizes the changing landscape, changing trends in urbanization, pollution, wastewater management, etc., etc. So all these new developments provide new challenges, and therefore a clearer legal framework for developments and waste pressures, waste management is very important. The third point is that it modernizes, as the Honorable Kumkumida said earlier, it modernizes and digitizes environmental approvals. EIAs are very, very important, but what it needs is efficiency, timely approval so that developers do not face delays. And I think the linking of the approval systems with the building permit approval system is a very, very important innovation. I think the business community, the investors would be very happy to see that. The fourth thing is that the stronger enforcement powers and ability to act quickly. So under the old law, and we used to hear this from the investors, Mr. Speaker, say, under the old law, regulatory officers reportedly lacked sufficient authority and could not respond promptly. So apart from not dealing with the environmental exigencies, waste, etc., there was delay caused for the investors and the developers. So this amendment provides stronger enforcement powers and ability to act quickly. And I think it's a very, very important amendment supporting that. And the fifth point, Mr. Speaker, said, is that it balances development with conservation and national priorities. And the amendment provides a modern, accountable framework aligned with contemporary environmental governance, national development priorities, etc. As I said, the 2005 Act was increasingly outdated. It was designed in a different context, in a different era, when the environmental pressures were different. And I listened very carefully to the contributions from Honorable Praveen Bala and Honorable Albik Maharaj. I think if the amendments are implemented with efficiency, with clarity, with the appropriate personnel, appropriate skills, then some of those concerns can be taken care of very, very easily. Because what it does, I mean, apart from the issues of fine and the committees, but the concerns that most investors, most developers have at the moment, and I think the Ministry of Environment, with the new permanent secretary and the work that they have done, they've cleared all the backlog, and there is quite a pleasing environment of feeling amongst the investor community, the business community, about the way in which this. And this amendment, Mr. Speaker, is going to add further efficiency, further clarity, further accountability. And that's why I think this is a very, very timely amendment. And I urge all members to support this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank the Honorable Professor Prasad. The last speaker is the Honorable Virendra Lal. You have the floor, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to contribute to the debate on the Bill number 39 of 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, often it is the duty of the opposition to oppose. However, it is also our duty to recognize when a step is being taken in the right direction. Today, regarding the modernization of our environment laws, this is one of those days. I want to focus my contribution on a systemic issue that has plagued environmental governance globally, the issue of pay for play. I have always found it strange that it is standard practice that an applicant for a development project appoints and pays the company doing their EIA. It is the classic case of he who pays the piper calls the tune. This structure has inherently left room for corruption. I am happy to see that Clause 17 and Clause 30 of this bill finally address this by giving the director the power to appoint an independent reviewer. We are breaking the direct link between a developer's money and a favorable report. If a developer submits a fluffy report, the ministry can now order a second opinion, and the developer cannot choose who writes it. Furthermore, Clause 24 is a game changer. It states that any license issued by any authority without an approved EIA is automatically void. This is the nuclear option against corruption we have been waiting for. It tells developers you cannot bribe your web past the process anymore. However, Mr. Speaker, I must sound a note of caution. While we support these strict measures, we must look at the impact on our own people. Clause 18 introduces mandatory environmental cash bonds. While this is excellent for holding foreign mining giants accountable, we must ask, can our local SMEs afford this? We must ensure that the high cost of these bonds and mandatory accredited consultants do not accidentally shut out local landowners from developing their own land. We do not want to trade corruption for elitism. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I have concerns about Clause 21. Why are appeals for management plans directed to the Permanent Secretary and not the independent tribunal? This creates a situation where the ministry is effectively marking its own homework. True justice requires an independent avenue for appeal for all decisions, not just the big ones. Finally, regarding Clause 12, this bill gives inspectors the power to enter premises without a warrant if they suspect risk, and it removes the exemption of residential homes. Mr. Speaker, sir, we want enforcement, but we must be careful not to trample on the constitutional privacy rights of our citizens in our zeal to protect the environment. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill is not perfect. The 21-day appeal window is tight for community groups, and the director's powers are vast. But it finally puts teeth into a system that has been toothless for too long. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, with the hope that the ministry implements this with fairness to our local SMEs and respect for privacy, we on this side of the House support this bill. Thank you, sir. Naka.
I thank the Honorable Virendra Lal for your contribution, and I will now invite the Honorable Minister to speak in reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I would like to thank those that have contributed to the debate and supporting the bill, especially the Honorable Praveen Bala and the Honorable Alvik Maharaj, Honorable Viren. Honorable Bala was just telling me that he was also, in his term as Minister of Environment, he wanted to amend the bill too. But good, it's come in the right time. The opportunity was not given then by former Attorney General at that time. But again, Mr. Speaker, sir, just to respond to a few of his questions, sir, the membership of an Environment Management Committee will be a ad hoc one by the SME, by the director, and will be also be guided by the guidelines after these amendments come through when we have the regulations. And the developers too will have a voice in the composition. For the appeals, the answer is that some of the things will go to the Permanent Secretary while others go to the tribunal. And the Permanent Secretary goes out to conduct his inspections. He is the first. These are the two tiers that will be there, those cases that will go to the PS and those cases that will go to the tribunal. Given the costly exercise, that's why we had put in a first tier to go to the PS rather than going into the tribunal, because it might take time. And given these appeals need to be fast-tracked. On the fines, yes, we need deterrent. That's why it has been increased. And so that people and developers are more respectful of the law. On the fine that was raised by the Honorable Bala on the 250,000, is referring as subject to court proceedings, and they will be decided by the court. That is the fine that referred to. In terms of the issue that was raised by the Honorable Miranda Lal in the inspection or into a residence that's included in the bill, let me assure the Honorable Member that we will not infringe in the human rights and constitutional rights. This is just to clamp down on illegal activities that are sometimes used, the residents are used as a shield to conduct these activities. So those are the few things that I would like to raise, Honorable Speaker, sir. The others, it was raised by the Honorable Alvik Maharaj on fossil fuel. That's currently under the Climate Change Act 2021, and we've just passed our National Determined Contribution NDC3 at the COP, and the statement I delivered the other day in answering a question. And we are transitioning into that by 2035. That's all I would like to say. Thank you once again to the team at the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, and plus the stakeholders who had participated in the making of the bill. I thank you for the effort and the work that has been carried out so that this particular bill can come into Parliament. I also like to thank the Office of the Solicitor General and the drafters who've been working very hard in putting together this bill and the format it has finally come into the House. We now welcome, sir.
Thanks, the Minister. The Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Wednesday, the 26th of November, 2025, that the Environment Management Amendment Bill 2025, as amended, be debated, voted upon, and be passed. Does any member oppose the motion? No. As no member opposes the motion, is agreed to unanimously. Deputy Secretary General.
A bill for an act to amend the Environment Management Act 2005, enacted by the Parliament of the Republic of Fiji.
Honourable members, we will now deal with the second bill for today. I now call upon the Minister of Fisheries and Forestry, the Honourable Alithia Mbanyuvalu, to move a motion.
Honourable Speaker, pursuant to the resolution of Parliament on Friday, 7th November 2025, I move that the Forestry Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon, and be passed.
Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to support the motion. Thank you.
Honourable Rothiswau, second. Honourable members, please be reminded the debate on this bill is limited to 1 hour. Your speaking time allocations will be displayed on the wall. I now call on the Minister for Fisheries and Forestry, the Honourable Alithia Mbanyuvalu, to speak on our motion.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker of Parliament, the Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Ministers and Assistant Ministers, Honourable Leader of Opposition, Honourable Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Honourable Speaker, I rise this afternoon to respectfully seek the support of members for the passage of the Forestry Bill 2025, a landmark piece of legislation that represents nearly a decade of rigorous policy reform, public consultations, technical reviews, and government commitment to modernizing Fiji's forestry sector. Honourable Speaker, the foundations of our current Forest Act were laid on the 20th of May 1992, when the Act first came into force with a primary focus on forests and forest produce. Honourable Speaker, while the Act served Fiji well during its time, the decades that followed saw major developments in forest conservation, sustainable forest management, climate policy frameworks, and international obligations. Unfortunately, the Act did not adequately reflect these evolving priorities, making a comprehensive review both timely and necessary. Honourable Speaker, the first major review commenced in 2007, eventually leading to the formulation and tabling of the Forestry Bill of 2016. During its second reading, the bill was referred to the Standing Committee on Natural Resources under Standing Order 85-4. However, Honorable Speaker, the bill lapsed in 2018 when Parliament was prorogued and was not brought back for debate. Honorable Speaker, the reform process was revitalized in 2020 when the Ministry engaged the Pacific community to assist with the technical review of the Act. The analysis focused on the provisions of the 2016 bill, excluding carbon-related elements, and provided valuable guidance for the next stage of the review. Honorable Speaker, in 2021, Fiji enacted the Climate Change Act of 2021, establishing a comprehensive national framework for climate governance and introducing robust systems for measuring, reporting, and verifying greenhouse gas emissions. Although Part 10 of the Act is yet to come into force, its provisions made it necessary to revisit the forestry legislation to ensure alignment with Fiji's broader climate commitments. Honorable Speaker, in that same year, the Ministry also engaged the Polynesian Group, supported by the Global Green Growth Institute, to examine carbon market provisions and to further refine the draft law. Honorable Speaker, their work strengthened integration between forestry, climate policy, and emerging carbon market mechanisms. Honorable Speaker, these earlier efforts paved the way for the extensive work undertaken from 2022 to 2025, during which the Ministry conducted nationwide consultations, technical workshops, legal vetting, drafting sessions, and interactive policy enhancement. Honorable Speaker, during this phase, development partners, the Asian Development Bank, played a critical role. They engaged their forestry legal experts who worked directly with the Ministry to refine and finalize the draft provisions, ensuring the bill reflects international best practices, strong legal coherence, and a modern regulatory framework suitable for Fiji's current and future needs. Their contribution has been instrumental in producing the high-quality draft that is before us today. Honorable Speaker, what we now present to this Honorable House is the culmination of 33 years of policy evolution, 9 years of review, and 5 years of intensive consultation and drafting a bill that integrates science, climate policy, cross-sector coordination, sustainable land use principles, and a bill that respects the rights of the indigenous people and local communities across Fiji. Honorable Speaker, the Forestry Act of 1992, though appropriate for its time, is no longer capable of supporting today's economic, environmental, and social realities. If we continue to rely on this outdated law, we risk undermining sector growth, investment confidence, climate resilience, and the sustainability of our natural resources. Honorable Speaker, allow me to summarize the major reforms introduced in the Forestry Bill 2025. The bill introduces modern institutions that did not exist under the current law, and this includes the Forestry Advisory Council. This serves as a formal platform for consultation with landowners, industry, conservation groups, and communities, and ensure participatory and transparent decision-making. The Forestry Tribunal is an independent appeals and dispute resolution mechanism that provides timely, expert-based decisions on technical and regulatory matters and reduces delays and inconsistencies that affect investments and operations. Honorable Speaker, these institutions address long-standing governance deficiency and increase accountability. Honorable Speaker, there is the modernized licensing compliance and enforcement provisions that streamlines permit and license applications, introduces clear compliance responsibilities, strengthens penalties for illegal harvesting, enhances monitoring and enforcement powers, and ensures consistency across native forests, plantations, and mahogany operations. Honorable Speaker, this will provide certainty for operators, encourage responsible harvesting, and protect landowner interests. Honorable Speaker, the integration of climate change, biodiversity, and sustainable forest management, which for the first time will explicitly mandate sustainable forest management practices, require the protection of biodiversity in all forestry operations, modernize codes of forest practices, introduce resilience measured aligned with international commitments, support carbon market opportunities, including REDD+ participation. Honorable Speaker, these provisions ensure that the forest management aligns with the Paris Agreement and our national climate strategies. Improved landowner engagement, benefits, and safeguards, which strengthens the role of landowners in decision-making, ensures communities are consulted in planning and harvesting, improves benefit sharing transparency, enhances protection of customary rights and traditional forest users. Honorable Speaker, this reflects government's commitment to empowering landowners and ensuring equitable participation in forest-based development. Honorable Speaker, under updated administrative, regulatory and operational procedures, it includes the modernized definitions that reflects the current practices. It clarifies roles of the ministry, operators, contractors, and relevant agencies. It introduces clear processes for reforestation, rehabilitation, and forest fire management, and it resolves long-standing ambiguities in the 1992 Act. These changes, Honorable Speaker, are essential for operational clarity and investment security. Honorable Speaker, the Forest Bill 2025 is a legislative update that captures the comprehensive transformation of how Fiji manages, protects, and benefits from its forests. Honorable Speaker, I respectfully request the support of this August House for the passage of the Forestry Bill of 2025 in the interest of our forests, our environment, our people, and its future generations. Honorable Speaker, I thank you for your indulgence. Inaksaka.
I thank the Minister, the Honorable Mbanyuvalu. Honorable members, the floor is now open for debate on the motion. I have a list of speakers with me. I'll first call on the opposition whip, the Honorable Tony Osumati.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I'd like to thank the Minister for her commentary on the development of the bill. And as she has pointed out, it's been something that's been brewing over time. And you can see this, that is apparent in the way that the bill is written. It's one of the bills that's come back to Parliament with very little red ink, which shows the amount of preparation that went into it. And I congratulate those that have been responsible for this. And as the Minister has pointed out, and just a number of things I'd like to highlight. I'll try not to comment on the issues that the Minister has commented on, but I appreciate the fact that it's a more holistic approach to forestry. Rather than seeing it as a forestry and trees as something that is only useful for business, to see the overall holistic importance of forests, the conservation, the importance that it has for all of the ecosystems and the things that work together. So it's not just about extraction of timber. The other thing that I've liked about this particular bill now, then probably that it was right, it came at this particular point in time, because it's coming at a time when it harmonizes with other legislation that have come into being. As the Minister has pointed out, the climate change itself is the biggest thing that affects life on this planet and affects us in particular in small island developing states. The bill coming out now allows it to work in harmony. When they're developing the bill, it harmonizes with that. And it also, as she has pointed out, fixes a lot of the problems that they've had in the past about managing forests, the licensing, the harvesting, all the problems. Some of the ways of addressing those problems have been built into this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. Sir. I also like the fact that in looking at the way in which the bill tries to ensure compliance, it has a range of steps that it goes through. Rather than immediately going to using a big stick, it talks about improvement notices, the issuance of fixed penalty notices, and then other heavier penalties to try to change behavior. Because as we know, we make a living, we make a GDP out of forest. But at the end of the day, the more important value is the value that it has for life itself. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the particular points I like about also the bill is the fact that in the sections 4, 5, and 6, it lays out something very clearly that was not in the previous bill. It lays out a set of objectives about what we're trying to achieve in this bill. And over on that, it lays a set of principles. So if the objectives are not clear, what are the principles that you apply if there's some debate on what a particular clause means? And those principles would be foundational guidelines of how you would look at implementing the bill. And also, it very clearly spells out the obligations that any person, that's all of us, has, obligations also for the department itself, and the obligations for the parties that are involved in timber, wood, or non-timber products. So it sets us out very clearly in the way that it goes about things, Mr. Speaker, sir. As I've spoken about the governance, the definition, the specification of governance, the role of the conservator, the department, the establishment of an advisory council that gives a forum for stakeholders to be actively engaged in the work that is being done by the ministry. There are too many times that we come across ministries where stakeholders feel left out, whereas in this, there is an opportunity for them to actively participate. And they also establish their own organization, Mr. Speaker, sir. And there's also the tribunal, as the minister has highlighted. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have 1 minute, okay. One of the things that it also spells out the importance of getting forest finance. I was a member of a committee that was looking at the forestry at one time, and it talked about the staff that came. They said, one of the most important things is looking after the forest itself. And it was very difficult for them to get finance to help them do that. So I'm seeing the various mechanisms that we have here, getting forest finance, public-private partnerships, payments for ecosystem services, and others, carbon and biodiversity credits. I'm hopeful that the ministry will be able to use this guideline to get the financing that it needs. A lot of these things over time will require a lot of heavy investment in money. And maybe forestry might not be an area that people would be wanting to spend a lot of money in. But at the end of the day, later on in the bill, I don't have time to go into it. It talks about the importance of managing our water catchment areas. There's a big surge now from agriculture cutting into the forests and the trees. We as a nation have to remember that if we cut down the trees, we become deserts. We have the danger of desertification, water drying up. So I'm glad that all of these concerns are being handled, are being addressed in the bill. So with that, Mr. Speaker, sir, I fully support the passage of this bill in the House. Thank you, sir.
I thank the Honorable Usmati, and I'll call on the Minister, the Honorable Sekias Nditoka, for his contribution.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Cabinet Ministers and Assistant Ministers, Honorable Leader of Opposition, and Honorable Members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak in support of the bill that is before us in two capacities. First, as a Minister for Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management, and second, as a son of Telebu North, where some of Fiji's finest mahogany and native forests stand upon the land of my own people. Well, Mr. Speaker, while the bill sits primarily within the mandate of the Ministry of Forestry, it has deep and direct relevance to the work of the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management. Forestry is not an abstract policy sector. It is directly tied to livelihoods, water security, soil stability, disaster risk, and the dignity and well-being of our Vanua. When forests are cut carelessly, my ministry is on the front line, responding to the consequences such as floods, landslides, washed-out crossings, damaged farms, and displaced families. The way we manage forests determines the safety and resilience of communities downstream. Mr. Speaker, the current Forest Act of 1992 belongs to a different era. It was built around extraction, not sustainability. It does not reflect ecosystem-based management. It does not align strongly with the Climate Change Act 2021 or the Environment Management Act 2005. It does not reflect our modern understanding of watershed protection, disaster risk reduction, or rural livelihoods. This bill, Mr. Speaker, modernizes this framework. It provides a legal foundation to implement the Fiji Forest Policy 2007, our National Development Plan 2025 to 2029, and Vision 2050. From a rural and maritime perspective, the objective speaks directly to our realities in terms of sustainable and planned forest management, conservation of native forest ecosystems, equitable benefit sharing with landowners, integrated, transparent, and efficient forest governance, climate mitigation, resilience, and watershed protection, promoting a high-value, sustainable forest-based bioeconomy. These are not abstract ambitions, Mr. Speaker, They are the foundation of rural prosperity, community resilience, and long-term national well-being. Mr. Speaker, the bill also strengthens our ministry's Integrated Rural Development Framework Review Philosophy of Change, which highlights the need for coordinated planning across sectors, community-centered development, data-driven decision-making, integrated watershed land use and resilience planning. So this bill is expected to operationalize these principles. It requires forest classification, inventories, watershed level protection, and coordinated interagency planning, all of which address long-standing gaps identified in our own IRDF review.
The bill also aligns with our co-creation approach for the new National Rural Development Policy that we are developing. It is being built through co-creation where communities, landowners, provinces, civil society, industry, and government jointly designs practical solutions. This bill reflects the same ethos. It is built on inclusive participation, customary recognition, local engagement, and shared decision-making. The bill contains 12 parts, Mr. Speaker, sir. I will not go through them in detail, but I just wish to draw attention to several important improvements. First one is stronger governance and planning, which provides clear functions for the Conservator and Department of Forestry. We all know what forests we have, what conditions they are, and how they contribute to flood control, water supply, and ecosystem health in doing this. With smarter licensing and enforcement, various stakeholders raise real concerns about licensing delays and compliance burdens, so the bill responds through this in clear, predictable licensing pathways and long-term licenses for serious operators. Linking harvesting to replanting, one of the clear messages from submission was concern about declining forest cover and inadequate planting. So the intention is simple: if you cut trees, you must also be part of planting trees. So this is aligned with Fiji's 30 million trees program and ensures that all operators, not just the large players, contribute to forest recovery. Customary rights, Mr. Speaker, sir, customary practices through collecting firewood for ceremonies, accessing building materials for cultural obligations remains untouched. So this is crucial for rural communities who depend on forest materials for daily life and traditional functions. Mr. Speaker, sir, forests are our first line of defense against disasters. Every protected hectare upstream reduces erosion, sedimentation, flash flooding, the cost of disaster response. And the bill's provision on watershed protection, forest fires and pests, and the appointment of fire rangers directly support my ministry's work in disaster risk reduction and community resilience. Support the bill, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Minister, the Honourable Dithoka, and now call on the Honourable Fire Square.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I can only but be brief because I think what needed to be said has already been said. But right at the outset, let me say that this side of the House is in complete support of this particular bill before us. I think the Honourable Minister has actually spelled it out quite clearly with respect to what's in it and why it was needed. But it's actually something that was begun a long time ago, and I think it's been a long time coming. And I think some people need to be acknowledged with respect to this. We had the opportunity to be accompanied in our travels around the country on the consultation exercise for this bill by a gentleman by the name of, who's the staff of the ministry, a gentleman by the name of Viliame Rokovu. So I must take my hat off to him and commend the kind of work that he has done. He's a wealth of knowledge. He had an answer to every question that was asked by us and also by the general public. So, and I think he's worked very hard together with his team and the minister, and they must be commended in terms of the kind of work that has gone on with respect to this bill. Just to let everybody know, sir, the questions did not come thick and fast because I think the consultation exercise had taken place through the ministry, and this is across the board in terms of the landowners, in terms of the foresters, in terms of the companies that are involved in it. Everyone was accounted for with respect to this particular bill coming to the floor. Now, what it has done, it's actually been pointed out by Honourable Usamate and the Minister, and both ministers actually, sir. And I think one of the most important things that we must remember, sir, it actually embraces the sustainable management of our forests and actually and the utilization of those particular resources whilst we ensure that we take care of the conservation exercise. We have commitments, we also have opportunities that arise out of this bill, and one of the things that is really important, sir, is carbon trading. It's more and more people are actually looking at carbon trading, and it caters for everything. This particular bill allows you to carbon trade and also sustainably do some harvesting if necessary. And it's really important that we actually remember that. So it's taken care of all the indigenous interests that are required, and anybody and everybody involved in this particular area is taken care of. There are issues that also needed to be dealt with respect to the people who would be basically taking care of any instances that arose that would become unlawful. There are opportunities being risen. The fines have actually gone up. I think the only complaint that came out, Landy, sir, came out with respect to the areas that were being harvested. They were taking too long to get the EIA done, and the monies that were being paid were quite substantial in order to forest the area. But I think it was important that they actually told us that. But that again was also taken care of by Mr. Rokovu, who actually explained to them how it could be done quicker. And the EIAs that are involved in it, I think there's a process in there now that makes it a lot easier to get done, because it is a bit of a long-winded process to get an EIA done. It is an expensive exercise to get it done. But all of those little things have been taken care of on this bill with the bill before the House. The other thing also, so there is an endorsement on it of the forest management policies and certifications for appointment of a committee by the Conservator to review a list of forest species under the Endangered and Protected Species Act. That's an important area. And one of the other things also from a climate change perspective, Honourable Speaker, is that it doesn't just say that you can go and harvest this area. It also talks about replanting. It also talks about the protection of our endangered species. There's a percentage that's been worked out. I cannot remember at the moment, but there's a percentage that's been worked out that we've got a lesser amount of endangered species, trees that are around because we've been harvesting them too much, things like that, but it's all been taken care of. So it's actually quite a comprehensive bill, Honourable Speaker, which has taken some time to get to the floor. To thank the Minister and her staff for bringing this very timely, especially in light of the fact that the whole landscape with respect to forests is actually changed around the world. And Fiji is now on top of it, and we've got a phenomenal bill that is actually before us. And I can assure you, you have the total support of this side of the House with respect to the bill on the floor. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
I thank the Honourable Faiz Koya. I now invite the Minister, the Honourable Wasserongo, for his contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We all realize that the more speakers speak before you, the less points that's available for you to speak on. But I think I spoke with the Honourable Koya during the afternoon tea, and he had assured me that this was a bipartisan bill. And we've heard from the Honourable Koya as well as the Honourable Usumati of their full support for the Forestry Bill 2025. I think the Honourable Alvik and Honourable Virendra Lal and of course the Honourable Bala will learn a lot more from the bipartisan approach that have been taken by the two ministers, two members of Parliament, and not on the other side. But perhaps, Mr. Speaker, with the contents that have already now been fully canvassed by the speakers before me, I wanted to share perhaps the core principles or the undergirding philosophies of why this law needed to change. And in fact, why laws are changed in these chambers. And the first of that has been realized by the Honourable Minister for Forestry and Fisheries is that the reality of forestry in Fiji has changed and that the law no longer fits. I think that's very pertinent from the report that was shared in this House by the Honourable Wakala Alambure. And so what we're doing with the introduction of this bill is correcting, Mr. Speaker, the unintended consequences of having law that is dated back to the 1990s. We're trying to resolve fresh scenarios that exist today with laws that were drafted and passed in 1992. There's also a more pressing principle that undergird the change that needs to happen. It's when society, people like that we represent, we do a moral evaluation that represents the collective effort of people that speak to us. And so with the consultation that has been undertaken by the Ministry of Forestry and Fisheries, these are the results of what is on the ground. There are, of course, also economic pressures that undergird why laws need to change. Perhaps more importantly, Mr. Speaker, as you will see, features mostly in the bill that is before us, are the international mandates. We call it international pressure or limitations of domestic law in line with international standards. So as the Minister had introduced during her speech in Parliament today, we are now adopting international best practices. Issues like international financing. Now, the symbolic politics in today's world, usually when it comes to matters of ownership and proprietorship, whether it be in minerals or whether it be in forestry, is always going to hover around free, prior, informed consent. And so I think that's also part of why this legislation or this bill needs to be passed today. And lastly, but not the least, simple housekeeping. We needed more clarity on the law today, and we need the law to be a lot more efficient. So why are we changing the laws today? Why do we need to change laws, Mr. Speaker? One of the reasons I think that we all can agree to and identify with is that in economic cost terms, it is easier to sustain the cost of the change than it is to sustain the cost of not changing the law. And so we already heard the challenges that the Ministry of Forestry and Fisheries have encountered over the years, and this bill has had the full support of all the committee members, and we are very grateful to the members of the opposition who were a part of the consultation. I support the motion before the House, Mr. Speaker.
Thanks. The Minister, the Honourable Wasarongo. The last contribution is from the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Inyas Ratu.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, sir, for the opportunity to also speak on the bill that's before the House. I also lend my support to the bill, knowing that a lot has progressed over the years since 1992, when we initially had a similar bill or act, so to speak. I'll just put into context some of the clauses of the bill so that it makes sense to us, Honourable Speaker, sir. If I just go quickly to the objectives, the conservation of Fiji's native forest ecosystems with emphasis on biodiversity, soil and water, and the list goes on. I'll just use the example of Tukuraki in 2012 when we had Cyclone Evans. The landslide on Tukuraki was mainly due, when we did the investigations, was due to the loss of canopy up the hills. Because we have pine, needle leaves, we've lost the canopy. Rain was falling on the bare hills of Tukuraki, that led to the landslide. So we need to look after our native forest ecosystems. And that's just a typical example of why this bill is so important to all of us. If I can go to J, ensuring legal timber trade and preventing illegal logging with actions to support the trade of legally harvested timber and to prevent the trade of illegally logged timber. The Honourable Tigundondua would recall that one of the struggles that we had with Fiji hardwood, I'm not sure whether that has been addressed, is the issue of certification. I'm sure and confident that with this bill, we should be able to address some of those issues, particularly when it comes to environmental issues, when it comes to forest management practices, and of course, governance as well. We could get into the niche markets of mahogany if we had that certification process. But unfortunately, because of non-existence of data and because of the non-existence of records, apart from sustainable practices, environmental practices, we were struggling to have that certification process, and that denied us a lot of opportunities when it comes to economic benefits out of our mahogany plantation. I really appreciate the fact that this bill will address most of these issues, Honorable Minister. If I can just go quickly to the issue on governance, the role of the conservator, and of course the ministry. All that I would like to say, Honorable Minister, is we have very good laws in Fiji. Not only forest bills, but other laws, but we are weak sometimes when it comes to enforcement. And we need to pay particular attention on this. You have the code of logging practice and so forth. I had an exciting time as Commissioner Northern, and eventually, unfortunately, the divisional forestry officer ended up in jail because money is involved, and unfortunately, it looks good on paper, but when it comes to the enforcement of the law, we are quite bad at it. And I would like to issue perhaps a word of caution on the roles that the various organizations, individuals, and institutions play when it comes to the implementation. I also appreciate the fact that fire is addressed in this. There was a committee headed by Mr. Robinero a few years back. I was part of the committee as well to address the issue of fire, not only in forests, but of course in agriculture as well, in the sugar sector as well. We are very irresponsible, and I'm thankful that even the native forest owners are also cautioned on it in one of the clauses. I will not go into it, but we really need to take this serious responsibility about looking after forests, because for us it's sort of something that we enjoy, setting up fires, but we are very irresponsible. We are destroying the ecosystems and the biodiversity, the flora and fauna, and this needs to change. And those that are responsible will be taken to task as well. Unfortunately, time is limited, but thank you for the change, and we support the bill. Thank you.
I thank the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Senator Ratu. I will now call upon the Honorable Minister to speak in reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'd like to thank all honorable members for their contribution to the motion before the House. Honorable Speaker, I'd also like to thank all those that have contributed to the review of this bill since its first review in 2007. I'd like to thank the staff of the Ministry of Forestry, from the Conservator Forests, the two deputies, the divisional heads, and all forestry staff that contributed to the development and the review of the bill. Honorable Speaker, I'd also like to acknowledge the contribution of former ministers and former permanent secretaries, and also former staff who also contributed to the review of the bill. Honorable Speaker, I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our development partners, the non-governmental organization that continue to work with the ministry to meet its targeted outcomes. And Honorable Speaker, last but not least, I would like to thank the members of the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights, and the Forestry Officer, Vilamiro Kovu, that accompanied the Standing Committee to the consultation and review of the Forestry Bill. Honorable Speaker, once again, I therefore request the support of this August House for the passage of the Forestry Bill 2025. Naksaka.
Thank you. I thank the Honorable Minister. The Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to resolution of Parliament on Friday, 7th of November 2025, that the Forestry Bill 2025 be debated, voted upon and be passed. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Deputy Secretary General.
A bill for an act to provide for the planned management and conservation of Fiji's forests and to foster the development of Fiji's forest industry in alignment with national policy, respect for traditional landowner rights, and the prevention of ecological integrity through sustainable resource management and compliance with the environmental laws and international best practice and other related matters enacted by the Parliament of the Republic of Fiji.
Honourable members, we will now deal with the third bill for today. I now call upon the Minister for Justice and the Acting Attorney, the Honourable Siromi Turanga, to move his motion.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 51, I move that the Criminal Records Bill 2025, Bill 41 of 2025, be considered by Parliament without delay. That the bill must pass through one stage at a single sitting of Parliament. That the bill must be immediately referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights. That the Standing Committee must report on the bill at a sitting of Parliament next year. That upon presentation of the report on the bill by the Standing Committee, the bill must be debated and voted upon by Parliament and with the right of reply given to me as member moving this motion.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Honourable Rose Soau, second. I now call on the Minister for Justice and Acting Attorney to speak on his motion.
Mr. Speaker, honourable members of Parliament, I rise to introduce the Criminal Records Bill 2025, a landmark piece of legislation that strengthens justice, protects dignity, advances rehabilitation in our nation. The bill is built on the premise that community safety is safeguarded and rehabilitated individuals who have not reoffenders are given real chances at employment, training, and access to justice, and access to services and justice. This bill recognizes that while justice must be firm, it must also be fair and restorative. It provides a modern framework for how criminal records are managed, ensuring that individuals who have served their sentences and demonstrated rehabilitation are not permanently burdened by past convictions. Mr. Speaker, sir, the key objectives of the bill include: 1, allowing certain convictions that are minor to become spent on the day the person is convicted. Allowing certain convictions are spent on completion of rehabilitation period or spent on application to a court and completion of a rehabilitation period so that rehabilitated persons can move forward without lifelong stigma. 2, allowing a person to resolve and end legal action for fixed penalty offenses, where the person has paid the fixed penalty or serve a term of imprisonment in default of payment. 3, providing for the expungement of historical convictions, particularly those relating to homosexual offenses and larceny offenses tied to customary rights, so that past injustice no longer shadow our citizens. 4, dealing with past injustice through efficient
and accessible administrative decision-making process so that citizens are provided with a determination on the expanse of a conviction in a timely manner. Another is establishing a clear processes for review of determinations by the Mercy Commission, ensuring fairness and accountability in decisions. Mr. Speaker, sir, another principle is protecting the privacy of making it an offense to unlawfully disclose, spend, or expunge convictions, while setting out necessary exceptions for law enforcement, child protection, and national security. And the last principle, Mr. Speaker, sir, is ensuring that once conviction is spent or expunged, a person is deemed to have no criminal record, restoring their dignity and opportunities in employment, education, and civic life. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill will offer real hope to those who take the path of rehabilitation. Take an example of Joseph and John Prasad, who are both convicted of assault causing unnecessary bodily harm. That offense has a maximum penalty of imprisonment for 5 years. Joseph and John, on conviction, are sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. They both work hard and undertake programming in constructive skills while serving their sentences. On release, Joseph and John find employment as construction workers and help each other to find a new way of living. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill will give Joseph and John a second chance after leaving conviction free for 7 years. Their convictions will be spent and no longer be included in the police clearance check unless an exception applies. This bill will deem Joseph and John not to have criminal record. They'll be able to answer questions about the criminal record by saying no, they do not have criminal record. Joseph and John will have the benefit of a clear Fiji police clearance check certificate if they choose to apply for Palm Work Scheme. They will only need to disclose their past conviction if asked a question under the law of another country. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill is about recognizing and rewarding offenders who find the right path to a new life. This bill will apply principles of forgiveness and respect for people who receive fixed penalty convictions for minor offenses like COVID non-compliance. Take an example of Mary and Maria. We have a fixed penalty conviction for conducting an indoor religious gathering of more than COVID limit on seating capacity under the Public Health Regulation 17A. Mr. Speaker, sir, under this bill, Mary and Maria fixed penalty conviction will permanently be spent. Mary and Maria will no longer be deemed to have a criminal record and may state that they do not. If Mary and Maria apply for a new job, the Fiji police clearance check will not include the fixed penalty conviction for COVID rule breaking. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill repeals outdated laws and replaces them with forward-looking system that balance justice with compassion. They can acknowledge the importance of rehabilitation, the rights of indigenous communities, and the need to correct historical wrongs. It is important to note that the definition of indigenous person includes a person who is a citizen of Fiji, of Indian or Chinese heritage, and who has been recognized by the Itoke, Tuman or Banban people of Fiji as entering and belonging to the Vanua. This bill promotes equality by correcting past discrimination. For these reasons, the provision does not give preferential treatment, rather it promotes equality before the law. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Criminal Records Bill 2025 is not just about records. It's about people. It's about giving our citizens a genuine second chance, strengthening trust in our justice system, and affirming that Fiji is a society where fairness, dignity, and opportunity prevail. I commend this bill to the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Minister and the Acting Attorney. Honourable members, the floor is now open for debate on the motion. At the end of the debate, we will have the right of reply from the mover. Recognize Honourable Koi. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, so I understand what the Honourable Attorney General has just put forward to us, but just a slight amendment, Honourable Attorney General. I think you mentioned in your motion that it was to go through one single sitting. It obviously will not be because of the way you've presented it. It will be two. So, if you may wish to amend that, sir. I think the three thing required for Order 51 is that it goes through one or more stages at a single sitting, and if so, which stages, the time limits which apply, and also whether it's being referred to a standing committee. So the other two have been complied with. I think you probably need to just reword your motion, Honourable Attorney General. But apart from that, sir, we're happy that it's going to the committee to actually bring back at a later stage next year.
The Honourable Minister.
Two sittings.
Yes,
I wish to make that amendment that the bill be passed through two sittings of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, if that amendment can be done into B, as noted in the orders.
That is, you are recommending that these changes be made now on that? You have no problem? Okay, fine. So the B then reads that the bill must pass through the one stage at two sittings of Parliament, correct? Yeah, otherwise, no. Okay. All right, thank you. As I said, the floor is open. Honourable Quay has spoken. Are there any more? No? Since there are no more intervention, I will call on the Minister, the Acting Attorney, to speak in reply.
Mr. Speaker, I have no further comment except to commend this bill before the House, refer to the committee.
Thank you. The Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to Standing Order 51. A, that the Criminal Records Bill 225, Bill number 41 of 2025, be considered by Parliament without delay. B, that the bill must pass through one stage at two sittings of Parliament. C, that the bill must be immediately referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights. D, that the Standing Committee must report on the bill at a sitting of Parliament next year. And E, that upon presentation of the report of the bill by the Standing Committee, the bill must be debated and voted upon by Parliament with the right of reply given to the Honourable Minister as the member moving the bill or the motion. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Honourable members, we will now deal with the fourth and final bill for today. I now call upon the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Tourism and Civil Aviation, the Honourable William Mengaboka, to move the second motion.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 51, I move A, that the Commercial Use of Marine Areas Bill 2025, Bill number 42 of 2025, be considered by Parliament without delay. That the bill must pass through one stage at a single sitting of Parliament. That the bill must be immediately referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights. That the Standing Committee must report on the bill at a sitting of Parliament in the first quarter of next year, and that upon presentation of the report of the bill by the Standing Committee, the bill must be debated and voted upon by Parliament with the right of reply given to me as the member moving this motion.
Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Honourable Rohini Bettiswau, the Leader of Government, seconder. I now call on the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation to speak on his motion.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to see the urgent passage of the Commercial Use of Marine Areas Bill 2025 because it addresses a long-standing legal and governance gap
impacting the rights of customary owners, the integrity of our marine resource management, and the certainty needed for sustainable commercial use of Fiji's valuable marine areas. Mr. Speaker, sir, for too long now, Fiji has operated under fragmented and outdated arrangements governing marine areas. One such law being the Regulation of Surfing Areas Act of 2010, the Act. This Act aims to promote Fiji as a surf destination through unrestricted access to surfing areas for tourism and recreation. Mr. Speaker, sir, while these acts allow tourists, hotels, and businesses to use these areas freely without exclusivity, it expressly provides that any person can use a surfing area without any payment or any compensation to any person. It has contributed to growth in tourism, but it has also socio-economically impacted customary owners who previously received compensation for the use of the traditional Ngolingoli areas. This has resulted in A, unclear propriety authority over certain marine spaces, 2, misalignment between customary ownership and commercial use, and 3, tension across tourism businesses, tourists, and customary groups. Mr. Speaker, sir, the delay in clarifying this legal position has allowed disputes, grievances, and inequitable benefit sharing to continue. Therefore, this bill will provide long overdue legislative clarity by recognizing customary property rights in a manner that is consistent with natural justice, constitutional principles, and modern governance standards, and introducing a fairer, more equitable benefit sharing framework. Mr. Speaker, sir, overall, this motion is important, given the impact of this law to the tourism sector. Since we announced the review of the Regulation of Surfing Area Acts 2 years ago, there has been ambiguity on what there is to expect. The Speaker said it will therefore give the tourism industry a definitive timeline in which this law will take effect. Mr. Speaker, the commercial use of marine areas, or Kuma Bill, seeks to repeal the Registration of Surfing Areas Act of 2010 and replace it with a new fair and transparent framework that reverts proprietary ownership of marine areas used for commercial purposes to customary owners. So the bill provides for a reversion process which be in line with the rule of law and principles of natural justice with all parties actively involved. It also empowers existing indigenous institutions to play a central role in administering and overseeing these marine areas. Mr. Speaker, sir, it further addresses gaps in the Regulation of Surfing Areas Act of 2010, which aims to promote Fiji as a surf destination through unrestricted access to surfing areas for tourism and recreation. Under the Kuma Bill, customary owners will ultimately take back ownership. Currently, marine areas are customarily owned by indigenous people who have access and usage rights, but not proprietary ownership. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to be clear. This will not be an automatic reversion. There will be processes to follow, and we will involve all interest holders to be part of the process. The process A, the transfer process is initiated by customary owners through an application to the Itoke Fisheries Commission, ITFC. ITFC assesses the merits of the application. At this point, the ITFC will be required to involve interest holders in the transfer process. The ITFC, once it approves a transfer application, will make a recommendation to the vesting authority, which is a tri-ministerial committee comprising the ministers responsible for fisheries, Itoke affairs, and tourism. The recommendation must request a vesting order and include either agreed renegotiated terms and compensation or a statement of unresolved matters. The vesting authority then makes a vesting order, transferring ownership once the recommendation is received. On commencement of the vesting order, ownership vests absolutely in the customary owners, Itoke owners. The bill also sets the process when the parties fail to reach agreements. In this case, the vesting authority may refer disputes to arbitration if both parties consent. If the terms of arbitration are not agreed, The vesting authority may determine the terms and compensation itself. Aggrieved parties may appeal to the tribunal within 30 days. There will also be a Marine Area Appeals Tribunal appointed by the Chief Justice in consultation with the Attorney General. Finally, control of the vested marine areas will be vested in the Itoke Land Trust Board as administrators. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also wish to make a few clarifications. Existing legal interests and rights over a commercial marine area will continue until renegotiated after a vesting order. As a vesting authority, the bill gives powers to exempt renegotiation if existing lease or license terms and compensation arrangements are fair and equitable, and renegotiation may harm the economic viability of the marine area. Exemptions may be time limited. The vesting order cannot be used to infringe constitutional rights and international laws and treaties, such as freedom of movement and the rights of public enjoyment. This is a recent addition. Mr. Speaker, sir, discussions on the review of the Act and the Kuma Bill began in the 2022-23 financial year with public consultations around Fiji. This work was guided through a joint working group. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I wish to reassure all tourism stakeholders that existing interests, investments, and operations within marine areas will be fully considered through a clear, participatory, and transparent process under the new bill. While the bill aims to transfer proprietary ownership of commercial use marine areas back to indigenous customary owners, the bill proposes that any financial consideration should not be burdensome. Instead, it establishes a fair, consultative framework where stakeholders, customary owners, and government collectively determine practical transition arrangements and mutually beneficial partnerships. The intention is to protect business certainty. The intention is to protect business certainty, maintain investor confidence, and ensure that any changes are managed through dialogue, not through punitive or excessive compensation demands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Ngavoka. Floor, honourable members, is now open for debate on the motion. Honourable Koya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, again, I echo the same sentiments. I think this bill also is been dedicated to Order 51 and a single sitting on the motion. So it's not going to be a single sitting because our sitting ends on Friday, sir, and it's to be brought back next year. So it should be 2 sittings, sir. So just a correction, sir. Otherwise, the passage is actually going to the committee, so we have no problems with that. Just a amendment.
Thank you. Are there any more contributions? All right, then I call on the Deputy Prime Minister for his right of reply.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank my colleagues in Parliament for enabling this bill to proceed through the pathway that has been established, which is through the committees. We will hold consultations across the country, which will take about 2 or 3 months. And we expect input, contribution from across the country to be fully to be comprehensive and to reflect all that we want to do about the use of marine areas for tourism purposes. We look forward, my ministry, my team are ready to be part of the process of the consultation. And for tourism, Honourable Speaker and colleagues, this is the way forward. tourism going forward will see a huge degree of participation by the indigenous people. This is a forecast by the UN Tourism and other bodies. And this is one way that Fiji can ensure that our indigenous community are part of tourism in a big way, in the way we use their marine areas. And as I have stressed, it will be process driven. It's not going to be one day we come in and take everything. It's going to be process driven and specific to areas. And granted, there will be some teething problems, but this is the way to go to strengthen tourism. I have here a letter from one of the leading resorts in the country today, asking me for my help on what to do in an area where the guests are snorkeling and where the local community are also spear fishing. So right now, there's nothing we can do to put us, to stop them. Because it's free. They can spear fish in there. But through this, we can bring in an arrangement that can allow our people, the tourists, to enjoy those areas without the fear of swimming together with those who are fishing with their spear guns. And there are more opportunities ahead of us in terms of the total enjoyment of our visitors using our marine areas, at the same time making sure that the resort owners are also part of it in the way they are compensated. If you allow me, Honorable Speaker, if I can just end this in the vernacular. Naviakani na lawam boleta na golingoli na kinabang tegi biro na sarbanua sa may bitang tengo parlamento na kinitigi bo ni bitang noa na pagaveri na be solibaka sama na bitang noa tegi ni kango kaya pasarin sa lilawa en yang bagi tumai kirei na biokani na bitang ni kango me bitang noa tegi en sama-sama kena alu binaka kakuan inda mbati turatala na itu kutugo ambati teracu ninggol-ninggoli enda nanumiti kora sarbanua nanumo na biokani dina nonda ninggol-ninggoli iya na sa nambula bata loka biokani kan the way was say and the way suli-suli ya na alu binaka meron imbol kiron da benua sarbanua ni urur na watonto nonda benua memarui David talnawa memaroi na lawa na barum buli tiongo menobuke kian na bingon memori. On that note, Mr. Speaker, sir, I commend this bill to the way forward and to the committee and into the debate in the first quarter of next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Prime Minister. The Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to Standing Order 51, that the Commercial Use of Marine Areas Bill 2025, Bill number 42 of 2025, be considered by Parliament without delay, that the bill must pass through one stage at 2 sittings of Parliament, that the bill must be immediately referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights, that the Standing Committee must report on the bill at a sitting of Parliament in the first quarter of next year, and that upon presentation of the bill of the report on the bill by the Standing Committee, the bill must be debated and voted upon by Parliament with the right of reply given to the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister as a member moving this motion. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Honourable members, that brings us to the end of the sitting today. Long but productive day. I thank all of you, honourable members, for your presence and your contributions. Parliament is now adjourned until tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Okay, sir.